I'm with Dr. Rangin Dadfar Spanta, the former Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, a country that doesn't exist anymore because it was taken over by the Taliban a couple of years ago on the 15th of August 2021, actually India's Independence Day. And since then, Dr. Spanta and several of his colleagues, his ilk, the Afghan elite, has actually been living all over the world. And today I'm here with him in Dushanbe, the capital of Tajikistan, in Central Asia, on the margins of the Herat Security Dialogue, a conversation that has taken place for several years in Herat, which is one of Afghanistan's most beautiful cities, and now perforce it has to be held outside. First of all, welcome to Awaaz South Asia, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So my first question to you is about the post-Republic fall. It's been 2 years since the Islamic Republic lost power. What have you been doing in this time, and what's the way ahead?
Well, before I give an answer to your question, ma'am, the country exists still, but the state collapsed, and nearly 2.5 hours. Some issues that they are very clear regarding to Afghanistan. First, Taliban, they cannot create a functioning state in classical meaning, a state which can protect the life of the people, delivering services to the people. But opposite is the case. This state exclude the 50% of the population of Afghanistan, women, from the public life, from education, working,
right,
and etc. Thousands and thousands of the educated Afghan people, they left country and went to the west or to neighborhood of Afghanistan. And the economy collapsed. This is from one side, from Taliban sides.
Yes.
We have the only regime in the world without constitutions, without a united system of law. But from other sides, that the Afghan political class, the majority of Afghan political class were surprised. Nobody expected that within a day the capital Kabul will collapse and Taliban can take over.
Were you surprised? Were you shocked?
No, I was not. Shocked, of course. That was and the conservative main and the reactionary main, that was a conservative reactionary revolution. At that time, I was in Kabul. And
you were in Kabul on the 15th of August?
Yes, exactly. I was in Kabul. But the process, the development, the political development in Afghanistan shown the direction even before that. From one hand, the international community and the top United States began dealing with Taliban in absence of Afghan government and representative of the state. Then they signed an agreement with Taliban
in Doha,
as a kind of bilateral between two states.
But didn't you complain when that happened?
Yes, always we criticize, but nobody paid attention, and our reaction, even our friends in Delhi, not accepted that.
What did they say, your friends in Delhi?
We told them, look, we are losing in this way because they rise Taliban in the level of semi-state or shadow state in Afghanistan. For example, one paragraph in this agreement called Taliban will not issuing passport or another document for the international terrorists and collaborator with international terrorism. This is a classic duty for a state, not for a terrorist group.
Right.
But US signed that. That was very clear. They are preparing the ground for Taliban. In 2018, I remember in one event in Institute for Strategic Study in Kabul, I told they will bring Taliban if we will or not. We have to prepare a democratic resistance. Many people, many friends of me at that time criticized me that my propaganda paved the way for some kind of political nihilism. No? But that was very clear. I was not
But you were very
surprised,
perceptive.
but I was shocked. I was shocked because at this day we had thousands of special forces in Kabul, soldiers, policemen, etc. But within hours,
minutes,
everything's collapsed. The escape of the president and his close friends by in this kind of centralized systems, of course, caused the collapse of the whole system.
Hamdullah Mohib, Fazl Fazli, I mean, these are very much part of Ashraf Ghani, the then president's core team. How did they leave?
Well, even in August 15th, around 11 o'clock, that was a telephone conversation between President Karzai and Mr. Mohib. And Mr. Mohib reiterated the determination of President Ghani and himself to stay in Kabul. Thus, a plane stand in the airport of Kabul bringing delegation to Doha, talking about the transfer of power and finding a kind of modality of broad-based government in Afghanistan with Taliban and people from the Republic. But as I went around 2 o'clock home, just minutes later, I received a call that President and Mr. Mohib and the colleague, they skipped to the north and they come to Uzbekistan. Nobody had the expectation that President Ghani and his colleague, in this way, they can the country alone and giving the power. With other words, unofficially, they transferred the power to Taliban, which the process was prepared by Doha agreement.
So you were absolutely stunned when you heard that Ashraf Ghani, the president, had fled the country.
But then my people came to me and my guard, and they told me that Taliban are now in the city. And overall, we contacted some friends of us, and I received the information. Yes, this is true. The
president had fled.
Yes, the president had fled, and then his colleague, also close colleague, and our discussion with the friends of me then, because they were after the people, they were radically, they rejected Taliban and Talibanism as ideology at the time. That was clear that they don't have chance for living in Kabul. Then we decided also to leave Kabul, and then with the cooperation and support of some Turkish friends of me, and we left the day after. We were at the night in the airport of Kabul.
On the 15th night? 15th. You spent the night at the airport?
Yes, on 16th of August, then we left Kabul to Istanbul.
So you and your family, your wife?
My wife, luckily, and my family, they were in Germany at this time already, before. And me, Dr. Muradian, and my other friend, we are three. We left.
So do you feel that Ashraf Ghani betrayed the country?
Of course, we don't. That's what also, I cannot believe that's what as a spontaneous reaction, a moment, a shock, but that was prepared. Even Amrullah Saleh, as deputy, in one interview recently in Moscow, told days before collapse of Kabul, Mr. Mohib came to him and told, "We will leave Kabul. Would you like come with us?" Ansari told him, "No, I will go to Panjshir for resisting Taliban." But this is a legend, believing that was a spontaneous reaction and he left. This is not true.
So he planned it.
He planned it. He planned it, and despite all propaganda that he all the time told, "I will resist. I never will leave the country, and if I leave, this must be an agreement and bilateral agreement between Taliban and Afghan Republic." That was all empty phrase. That was not true.
So if you were to meet Ashraf Ghani today, what would you say to him?
Well, look, let me. No, I will not have any reaction to him. I will ignore him. I will ignore him because the bad day and difficult days. First, he concentrated all the power in his own hand. Look, his colleague and friends, they send on the district levels very low state public servant or security servant to the districts, etc. That is not the job of, for example, National Security Advisor, or that's the job of related ministry. And that was all concentrated in
his hands.
A hand of 2-3 hands. No? And days before, that was a process that many of our soldiers and officers, without any resistance, they put their weapon down. And my last meeting with Dr. Ashraf Ghani was 4 or 5 days before collapse of Kabul. I told him, "Mr. President, the situation is worse than you're hearing from your colleague.
Right.
We are losing, and the best solution is that let the people give weapon to the people that they can resist the situation." He told, "No, everything's under control."
So so he planned the whole escape from
Yes.
Kabul.
Yes.
He knew he was betraying the country.
Yes.
And
But how we can call it? A president leaving his country, and as chief of command, escaping, and the army don't have a head and decision maker, and without any resistance and reaction, then left his palace in office. This is betraying country in bad way, in both way in Afghan history. All the time he called, "I'm not King Amanullah. He escaped the country. I will never do it." I couldn't. He told, "Here is my home, and here will be my grave." But he escaped with his family and closest friends.
And that was the day of disaster.
That's the day of this disaster. It was not easy for Taliban occupying Kabul. We had enough power in Kabul to wait until.
Could you have resisted the Taliban and prevented them from entering Kabul?
For a while, yes. For a while.
For a few days.
For a few days. But that was, as the US stopped supplying for Afghan Air Force, for Afghan special forces, etc., etc. Of course, that was difficult. But it was not possible for Taliban occupying Kabul within 1 day or within minutes.
So the message went out to the Afghan forces that it's all over, that the president has fled. But how did the Afghan forces just stop fighting?
Within, I don't know, we need a broader scientific investigation and research in this regard. How can that happen? This is not only a military issue, this is also a psychological issue and political issue. We have to find out the background of the development behind what we know until today. Behind that, it is some things. Additionally, something that we have to discover what was happening. All these things putting together, then we can have a scientific foundation. How can happen this?
So do you think about this every day, Dr. Spanta?
Every day, every minute, in my dream, in my what's that,
Nightmare.
Yeah, nightmare. That's every day. How can that happen? As I left my home around 4 o'clock in this day, August 15th, to airport. That was no checkpoint, no security people on the way. Everybody skipped. After the news came that President left the capital. But until the President was in Arg, in Palace, then many people was, even we took measure in our street, defend the street against eventual interference of Taliban elements or other lumpen people. They come for other purpose.
Even in India, it was something that we could not imagine. We all thought that somebody or the other will take charge after Ghani fled, but it didn't happen. But I want to ask you, what happens? You've been 2.5 years or 2 years and 3 months out of the country. The brightest minds of your generation, the young women and men who ruled Afghanistan, or part of this dream of the new republic, many of them are out. Some people are still inside. Looking ahead, what do you see happening?
Well, the resistance is going on. Is not the end of the story in Afghanistan.
The resistance is going on.
Yes. After such kind of collapse overall in the world, if this kind proceed, at the beginning you have the shock and the impact of the shock over the social and political movement. But from the beginning, the first force resisted the Taliban rule in Afghanistan was the Afghan women movement in the cities and others. In a very civilian way, they resisted despite atrocity, despite torture, and arresting the people and insulting the women. From my point of view, this is the core of Afghan civil and political resistance. This still is going on.
Right.
Under very, very difficult and dangerous circumstances. The second element of our resistance is the armed resistance in Afghanistan. This is not only national resistance front, which located outside
in the Panjshir Valley.
Yes, not only in Panjshir and under Oaks valleys, etc., and also in the north of Afghanistan. That's the second kind of resistance. The third kind of resistance we have also in Afghanistan and outside Afghanistan. This is the civilian peaceful resistance that and working on the politique in Afghanistan for mobilizing the peaceful resistance of people of Afghanistan opposing the Taliban rule, and also outside Afghanistan working on the enlightenment. What is the reality of Taliban? Everybody is telling us Taliban is a reality. We have to accept it. Yes, Taliban is a reality. Right. But Hitler was also a reality. No? All the dictators and reactionary regime in the world are reality. Taliban are the worst reality in Afghanistan. That is the reason why we are opposing them. Now, We will continue our fight against Taliban and Talibanism peacefully by resistance of our women and also armed resistance of Afghanistan. They are the elements of the same system I call the system resistance.
So you feel that this resistance will be enough to have a roadmap, say, for the next...
Well, I can understand the concern of the people of Afghanistan in this regard, and also the concern of international community and our friends.
Right.
But from other hand, we have to pay attention and concern and consider the reality of Afghanistan, and also the reality of all resistance in the world. Resistance is not only a moment reaction. This is a process which is beginning very small and growing langsam until then they can take over. This is the logic of resistance in Algeria, in Algeria, in North Africa against colonialism. In the same experiences was in India, anti-colonial peaceful movement under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi and his friends. This, with other countries' experiences at the beginning, the Vietnamese lost also. We lost also at the beginning our jihad against the Soviet Union. Soviet Union occupied whole Afghanistan. The still some island of resistance was at the beginning, but at the end of the few years, the resistance was strong enough defeating Soviet Union in Afghanistan. That's the logic of this kind of resistance. Now, if Taliban are ready for peaceful negotiation, creating an inclusive and participative government in Afghanistan, that will be the best choice.
So you are ready to do that?
If they are ready for a constructive and essential negotiation under the leadership of United Nations or mediation of United Nations, we are ready for that. But we know Taliban are not ready for this kind of constructive, essential negotiation. Then armed resistance is not our choice. Armed resistance imposed on us. We don't have another way. I'm not a fighter, as you know, I'm a man of words. But my people, the armed resistance is a legitimate part of our resistance. And this is imposed by Taliban.
So if the talks fail, the Afghans will not be afraid to pick up the gun and fight the Taliban.
Then we have our main interest and our main attitude in this regard is a solution, a peaceful solution for Afghan conflict. If not, we don't have another choice. We have to choose between slavery and to have a life adequate to all other people in the world.
Dr. Spanta, are you disappointed that the international community is returning to Afghanistan under the Taliban? Several countries have opened embassies, including India. Pakistan has an ambassador. China has an ambassador. India doesn't have an ambassador, but we have a deputy chief of mission. The Europeans, the Turks, so many countries, about 20 countries in the world have said that they are ready to talk to the Taliban. Are you disappointed?
Well, yes, but let me, from other hand, I can understand the behavior of attitude of international community regarding to Afghanistan, and substantially is different as our attitude. Our attitude is having a country which has a government and a state build this state by the free will of the people of Afghanistan, having election, constitutions, equal right and freedom between men and women, have the rule of law in Afghanistan. This is our program and our concern also.
Okay.
No? But the concern of many countries is different. The behavior of many countries, I divide this or classify this into two general. We have another kind of behavior, but two general line is the dominant behavior regarding to Afghanistan. One is a mercantilist behavior.
Yeah.
Some countries, they have interests and mineral resources and business with Afghan government. For these countries, the self-determinations, independency, democracy, and freedom is irrelevant regarding to Afghanistan.
Yes.
Some other country, they will have influences in Afghanistan for continuation of this world system, which is the Western dominant, the main quantity of this world system.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate. Unfortunate is even India is part of this two behavior, have close relation or understanding with the U.S. behavior, which is under the geopolitic requirement in the world.
Do you think India do you think India should take a more independent position?
Yes. India was a country under its leadership after the independence began to be one of the leader of the so-called third world country, and this politic of India made this country popular in the third world, including Afghanistan. Now, that's what our expectation, not looking only through the glass of geopolitics in Afghanistan. On this geopolitics also system concurrence between the US and China. Behind that, and also this global concurrence, of course, I know India is on the side of the United States, but having an independent in between another positions, at least regarding to Afghanistan as a historical ally, that was, from my point of view, the right politic. But I'm respecting the current politic, which I'm not supporting. I cannot understand it, but I'm respecting, because India is a great state, has initiated and has decided to be part of one coalition against other. But I think the India will be in the middle term the loser, one of the losers like us of this game.
Dr. Spanta, when Prime Minister Modi came to Kabul in 2015, December 2015, and inaugurated the parliament, that was a big day for Afghanistan, because you had a new parliament, right? A parliament in your own capital. But from 2015 to 2021, 6 years, a big change took place in India's foreign policy thinking, at least towards Afghanistan. What do you think happened? Because when he was there in Kabul, I remember the speech. It was a very moving speech that Prime Minister Modi delivered. Talked about eternal friendship between India and Afghanistan. He talked about the Kabuliwala, centuries of communication, trade. But suddenly, there seems to be very little.
Well, let me classify this in two steps. The one step was also that was very clear that the Afghan nation is not supporting President Ashraf Ghani. President Ashraf Ghani came to power and took the power, although he had the support of Western big Western countries such as United States and Great Britain. But he was not a legitimately elected president of Afghanistan. He came by fraud, which was...
So rigging the ballot.
Yes. And that happened when shift towards India. India supported this regime only. Our idea at that time we shared with Indian leadership, from Prime Minister Modi, Foreign Minister, National Security Advisor, that is not in the interest of Afghanistan. You have to support Afghan patriotic forces and collaborate with them. We are losing. Afghanistan is going in the wrong, absolutely wrong and dangerous direction. But the Prince tried to encouraging us collaborating with Ashraf Ghani, which we rejected this. And the second step then began as the radical shift in foreign policy of India took place, cooperating in different level, especially security level, with United States, and because the rise of China. This is Indian politics. This is not our politics. We are not a global player in this regard. But if India took these global positions, within this global position, from my point of view, was possible taking an independence Indian policy towards Afghanistan, which was not happening. Look, at the August 16th or 17th, we had an agreement with India that the Afghan citizen with the diplomatic passport can visit India without having visa.
Right.
Now, at the August 17th, India expelled Afghan parliamentarian. They came for treatment from Istanbul to Delhi for treatment, although she had a diplomatic passport. Right. I called my Indian friends, and why are you doing that? But I learned that no Afghan can come to visiting India without a special visa. But I wrote even Indian Foreign Minister and National Security Advisor, both of them. We will bring Herat Security Dialogue to Delhi and organizing in Delhi because this project was supported by India and funded sometimes India this project, but I received never a negative or positive answer. They ignored my letter.
That you wanted to bring the Herat Security Dialogue
Exactly.
to India,
Yes.
this big conference that you hold every year.
Yes.
And there was no response from the Indian establishment.
And opposite of this position was our Tajik friends, as we sent a letter, and the answer was from Tajik president and foreign minister, positive, highly positive, and they welcomed the conference.
Also, India suddenly canceled the visas of a lot of Afghan students who were studying in India.
Yes.
And I was in Kabul last year to report the first anniversary of the Taliban takeover. And a lot of Kabuli students and Afghan students from all over the country said they were very upset that the Indian government cancelled their visas.
We all are upset. Even India now. Look, a foreign policy overall in the world, the core element of a foreign policy, of course, is national interest. We don't have any doubt. But within this national interest, foreign policy must have also some values. Not only a mercantilist foreign policy will be a humanist and internationalist foreign policy, but with some values such as friendship, strategic cooperations, historical common values, common culture, etc., etc. I was one of the, under President Karzai, one of the, as you know that, every Indian friends know that, one of the architects of strategic relationship between India.
2011, the partnership,
Exactly.
strategic partnership.
Exactly. We worked at that time with our friends in Delhi, Shankar Menon and others. And the process began as Mr. Mukherjee, that was foreign minister.
Pranab Mukherjee.
Yes. We began the process and conclude the process in cooperation with Shankar Menon. He was National Security Advisor. But within day, this whole agreement was meaningless. The country that he was loyal to its friends were Pakistan. Pakistan, even until today, despite PTT, etc., is loyal to Taliban. The other country which really received Afghan refugees, supported the life of Afghan refugees, although had good relation to Taliban, is Iran. Thousands of Afghan refugees, although Iran is under sanction of Western country, have difficulties, financial and economic difficulties, but supported the Afghan refugees. For my own family, I have 62 family members. They are living as refugees now in Iran. And Iran issued visa for this.
Why do you think India did not issue visa?
You have to ask India. I personally asked my friend in Delhi, other people, why India is not issuing visa for Afghan students? They are in third, fourth, fifth semester. They lost their education opportunity. Even Afghan military students, they graduate from Indian academies, etc., etc. Indian rejected extending visa for these people. I don't know, and I will not comment this issue more. But our expectations, not only from humanitarian standpoint or a special friendship standpoint, additional to this issue, is also that India must play in its bilateral relation with other countries at different points, such that Britain are doing or US is doing.
But maybe India wants, not maybe, India definitely wants to establish a relationship with the Taliban because it believes that they are here to stay. I mean, I'm not speaking on behalf of the Indian government, but this is my analysis. That perhaps because they want to establish a proper relationship with the Taliban, they don't want to offend the Taliban by giving visas to members of the former Islamic Republic or to other people.
This is not. These two things is not, at the end of the day, contradictory to each other. First, if India will establishing a friendship, friendly relation with Taliban, that is a strategic mistake. First, never, despite good relation with some minister in the cabinet of Afghanistan that we know, or some project, first, substantially and ideologically, the elements they are fighting India in Kashmir, etc., they are cooperating with Taliban. They are allies of Taliban ideologically. That's the first.
Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed.
Exactly.
They have links with the Taliban?
They have links with the Taliban.
Even when the Republic was in power, then there were these blasts that took place at Kabul.
Yeah, exactly. Without any doubt, this your security forces, they know that. No? And second issue. Second is, well, many countries, or a number of countries, they will establish good relation with Taliban or established good relation with Taliban, for example, Islamic Republic of Iran. No? But in the same thoughts, they are not rejecting in this brutal way the opposition or the people of Republic. But how the India, really, I cannot justify, I cannot talk this overall. I'm extremely sad and surprised why India did it. No? How is that Turkey, for example, Many of Afghan leaders and opposition leaders, they are living in Turkey. Well, I am living in Germany. No? And
Pakistan also, I think, had a lot. You said a lot of people.
Yes. A number of the employees and public worker.
How do you explain that? Afghanistan and Pakistan had a very bitter relationship when the Republic was in power.
I know that for the long-term strategic analysis, I think Pakistani, they know their own interests better than India. India's view is only towards United States of America, will play in the league of the bigger country, and think, okay, that is the rival is sitting in Beijing, and then. But within this global issue, I think is some place having also a different under strategy. That doesn't mean that you have a white or black strategy. You have also another colors. I can give you some example. Despite sanction against Iran, Italian had a good relation with the Islamic Republic of Iran. That, I mean, it is possible. But the current government in India, and especially my good friend, the Foreign Minister and Home Minister of India, especially, they have their own policy. I wish them success, but I am disappointed, absolutely disappointed.
Dr. Spanta, you have spoken very frankly, very honestly, and I really thank you for that and for your time.
I have to thank you, and let me to you send a message to the people of India. I told to my friend in Delhi in many occasions, India-Afghanistan relation is not only state-to-state relations. This is a relation between the people, which is growing with good and bad chapter, sweet and bitter chapter in our common history. And I told at that time the common destiny of this region is pushing us to be and stay and continue this friendship and brotherhood. And this is my principle. I hope and I wish my friends in India, especially Indian people, all success. I'm happy over success of India in the economic sectors in the last years. And I hope the best things and all success for Indian people. And I hope they have success also in their own politics, which I'm not believing.
Oh, thank you very much. But we also want to congratulate the Afghanistan cricket team and how well it performed.
Yes.
And they are all heroes in India. So,
yes.
So when you talk about the people-to-people relationship, I think that's a very good example of that.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Spanta. This is Jyoti Malhotra for Awaaz South Asia with Dr. Rangin Dadfar Spanta.